we will begin this application hearing for 3412 Taylor Street variance. First thing we will have, there is a set. Oh, Katie, before we begin, Katie has a few things to say. So, Katie, why don't you start?
Well, thank you, Arthur. For the record, I'm Katie Filipchuk-Howard and the Vice Chair of the VMA Council. Before we begin this variance hearing procedure, I must disclose a minor conflict of interest, but one which will require that I recuse myself from tonight's vote. It is my duty as a council member to disclose that my 16-year-old daughter has provided, albeit infrequent, babysitting services for the residents of 3412 Taylor Street. While I had sincerely hoped to vote in favor of this variance, I am mindful that it is ethically the right thing to do to disclose such a relationship. I further know this as a former council liaison to the Village of Martins Additions Ethics Committee. Last summer, when my daughters created their babysitting and house chore service, I first consulted our VMA attorney, Ron Bolt, about any potential issues. And he did advise this would only be an issue and grounds for recusal if my daughter sat for a client who requested a variance. So this is challenging for me, of course, because I want to support my daughter's initiative. And statistically, I thought, what are the odds in our small village? I didn't think this would create an issue, but it has in this case. I took additional measures and asked the council to request an advisory opinion from the VMA Ethics Committee concerning this situation. I thank the members of the Ethics Committee for meeting recently to consider my request. And while the committee agreed that the conflict is of a minor nature, I have still been advised to recuse myself based on the wording of the current code. So I wish to relay, though, to the residents, Leah, Matt, B, Essie, that I tried my best to participate in this vote, but I must respect this decision at this time. As a Taylor Street resident, I know all too well about frequent flooding and how heavy rainstorms have caused water to gush down our street and pick up in intensity toward the end of the street where they reside. As a neighbor, I know this family has negatively been impacted by the current design and have found themselves knee-deep in water. So I hope this variance helps them arrive at a positive outcome.
Thank you, Katie. This is off topic, but for the council members.
Arthur, yeah, if I could just interrupt for a second.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't object to Katie participating in the vote. Does anyone present at the meeting have any objection to Katie participating in the vote?
That's actually not how it works.
Yeah, it's up to the council member to recuse themselves or not after hearing recommendations from council and from the ethics committee.
Hi, thank you. Susan, thank you for your kind words.
So, but this does raise a question I will bring up.
Please, can I?
You go ahead.
Yeah, Susan, I didn't suggest that that's how it worked. I don't think I suggested that Katie didn't have authority to recuse herself. So I didn't say that. I just asked a question about whether any council member or anyone at the meeting has a problem with Katie participating.
No.
To you, Susan or Arthur?
What's that?
I actually do tend to read the code pertaining to these decisions, and I had hoped that we wouldn't become embroiled in this, because I think it's really a side issue, perhaps for some other purpose, but not really germane.
Yeah, I was going to say that Katie is actually following the letter of the law, as did the ethics committee and our council, which suggests that if we do not think that this is appropriate, we change the letter of the law. But that's not for tonight's discussion. So let's move on to the first item. The staff, the village manager and our contract engineer will present their discussion of this application.
Arthur, do you want to present the entire steps so that those participating tonight will understand when they'll have their opportunity?
Okay, the there is a scenario laid out here. First, there is staff presentation, which is the manager and our building advisor. Then the applicants make their presentation. Following that, we politely wait for everyone to have their say, and then the council has the opportunity to question whatever they want to from any of the parties. And then others may raise questions or comments, and we have had a number of neighbors offering their support. And then the applicants have a chance to come back and rebut any of the arguments that they don't particularly like or agree with those that they do like. And then the council deliberates and we discuss among ourselves and vote. There is a process of closing the record. That is, we've heard everything that we're going to hear, and then it's up to the council members to come to a conclusion. So I think that more or less concludes that's the scenario. Ron Bolt, our council, has laid out 7 steps. So we are about to begin step 1, staff presentation. So if the staff can proceed.
Yes,
And I'll
okay.
just note before Michael starts, we are recording this proceeding, and participants are asked to please wait until you're recognized by the chair before speaking, and please identify yourself by name and address for the benefit of the recording, and if a transcript is required later on. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Michael and Doug.
Yes,
Michael.
okay. Thank you for that, Ron and Arthur. To start with, I'm presenting the layout here of the site, 3412 Taylor Street. You can see everything here. The street is at the top of your screen, and the grayed out areas will be the non-permanent rural services, non-vegetative services. And those non-vegetative services include raising the driveway at the current size, which is 11.3. That's a current size, so no variance is required for the driveway. So the variance requested is only for the non-vegetative services in the front yard. The code says everything, it only can be 30% of the front yard. And with everything here, and the applicants will go over exactly what they're doing, including retaining walls and some additional surfaces. That brings it to 39% of the front yard being non-vegetative. It's just a little over 100 square feet of above what the code allows for, which is the reason for this variance request today. We have notified the neighbors, the adjacent neighbors, 20 days ahead of this hearing, as the code requires, and we have invited the entire village to this variance hearing. I think I'm going to hand it back to that unless Doug Lohmeyer has anything to say. He is on the phone, I believe.
Doug, anything to add to this?
Good evening. No, I have nothing to add from what Michael stated.
Thank you. Okay, Michael, is that
Yeah,
kind of summarize your
pretty much-
points?
Yeah, that sums it up.
Okay. Okay, let's turn then to the applicants to hear what they have to say. Who's speaking?
Matthew, I guess I can introduce the scope of work that's proposed. So yeah, as you know, currently the driveway is recessed down to a lower garage. In addition to the raising the driveway, we're also filling the garage because, again, it's every time there's a flooding event, the garage fills. Of course, that's not part of this variance. But the driveway, like Michael said, we're not increasing the width. In fact, we're working within the existing retaining walls of the recessed driveway and just sloping it up as opposed to down. So all the impervious surface that is there is actually existing, with the exception of that portion of front retaining wall. It's when you're facing the house, it's to the right of the drive. That is really the only additional impervious area that we're proposing. And again, that's just an additional flood control measure. The rest of it And possibly as an existing condition, it might have the impervious surface might have already been over the limit. Because again, I think currently what we're over is above and beyond that additional retaining wall area.
Paul, can you state that again, that the retaining wall in the front actually was to the left as you face the building from the
Oh yeah, you're right. Yes. Yes,
so
that
has been added. And what
that
else?
is that has been added. Everything else that is shaded that represents impervious area is actually existing condition.
So the walkway, the existing paved surface of retaining walls of the walkway up to the front stairs, they are existing.
Yeah. Yes. I want to make sure I'm saying that right. Matthew, correct me if I'm saying anything that's wrong. But
Matt, you want to add to that?
Well, I have a question, Arthur, that may help.
Existing condition.
Okay. Ron, go ahead.
Yeah, so I understood from the application that you're also infilling the portion of the walkway, a little square leading from the driveway. Well, could you explain what you mean by infilling that portion?
yeah.
And then
Right.
secondly, could you clarify whether the timbers along the right side are new or existing? I couldn't tell from the site plan.
Okay. The infill section is, since it was a recessed driveway, those were stairs going up to the higher grade level, that front stoop. And now that the driveway is essentially being brought up to that level, we're just filling in the stairs. So the impervious area hasn't changed. It just got, like the driveway, it just got higher.
Okay, so it's a sloped walkway rather than a stairway, but within the same boundaries that you had before.
Correct. Yep. And I don't even think it's sloped. I think it's pretty much flat, because at that point the driveway is at an equal height to that landing.
Oh, okay. So if I'm understanding this correctly, the only real change to impervious surfaces is that proposed CMU, I'm not sure what that means, stone wall, that's right, at the front.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
And to answer the previous question, yes, there were proposed timber pavers along the side. We were advised that those would not be counted towards an impervious area.
Okay. Anything more from Matt? You have your hand up. Andrew, you have your hand up. Sorry.
Yeah, I just had a quick question that was related to what you just said. So in an earlier iteration, there was some plan to put some sort of barrier along the property line, along your fence. Is that, so that's, you said that's timber, so it doesn't get counted against? Is that what you just said? I just wanted to clarify that.
That's correct.
Okay. Anything else from the applicants?
No. Thank you,
Okay.
Paul.
Any questions from council? No further questions from council. How about questions from our council's counsel? Ron, anything you want to raise? Question, query, state?
No, other than if the non-vegetative surface is currently non-conforming, that would probably be an important fact, because right now, as presented, the variance is requested at 9%. But if they're already non-conforming, that 9% may be smaller.
That's right.
And that is right. They are already at, based on this architect's calculations, they're already at about 35% non-vegetative at their pre-existing condition. And they're just adding that front retaining wall, which brings it to the 39%.
Okay, Matt and Paul, I have one question for you on the water issue. Has the main problem been water coming up over the driveway apron down into the garage? Is that the major issue? Are there additional ones that you're trying to address here?
The main issue is that the storm drains in front of our home back up, and yes, it comes over, it then goes down the apron.
Yeah, that's right, Arthur. The property has flooded 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
The property was built Yeah, with the village's awareness, by the way, since 2020, it flooded 2 or 3 times before we owned the property, with the village's awareness, and twice since then, also with the village's awareness, due to the street flooding and the storm drains flooding
Overflowing.
as well.
Okay.
But to date, the village has been, I just want to add that you asked why it flooded. I explained why it flooded, and so far the village hasn't offered or provided any solution in terms of the street flooding like that. So we're paying out of our pockets.
Yeah, we're paying out of our pockets to fix this issue that has nothing to do with our actual house. It's the containment of the water and the street setup.
Yeah, just to make sure, okay, so yeah, so the problem is the infrastructure in the city of Martin's Additions being insufficient here at 3412 since at least 2020 with the village's awareness, and the village hasn't taken any measures to remediate that. So we're paying out of pocket to remediate our property due to the insufficient infrastructure in the village, of which the village is aware.
And yeah, and as you can imagine, it's a major safety issue for our young children, and for us.
Yeah, to make sure
Wait,
that the property
please. Okay, did we answer your question?
Yes, and so just to understand this a little bit further, the way that you're addressing it is putting a hump in the driveway, essentially instead of in the driveway apron, you're putting the hump further back in the driveway, and a retaining wall as a protective device to keep the water out.
No, we're changing the grade of the driveway.
Right.
And then, and we're closing off our garage. So those are additional measures, but that doesn't require a variance from Martin's Additions.
No, so you are closing off the garage.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, we're abandoning the garage, and if I could further describe the site. So from the curb and the sidewalk, the grade slopes up to the first floor. So the first floor and the entrance aren't so much in trouble just because while the grade is going up, the driveway currently is going down. So it's all the water has to clear. You're right, is the apron and the sidewalk, and then it has a clear shot into
straight down.
Right.
Okay.
So we're instead of sloping that driveway down, we are pretty much matching the as much as possible the grade adjacent to it.
Okay, so it's not actually humping up. It is.
The whole thing is sloping up. So yeah,
Right.
there's no so much of a hump as just a gradual
Right. Okay.
slope.
Good. Okay, that clarifies 2 issues for me, this particular variance and the water issues that we're facing in the village. Are there other questions from council? Any comments? Anything else from council? No, I'm getting shaking heads no. And if that's the case, let's turn to residents and neighbors. Anyone else? Joel Klicksberg has his hand up.
Hello, everyone. So I am on the water committee, but I am talking now not in my capacity on the water committee. The water committee does not adjudicate any issues relating to existing problems. So I'm talking now just in my capacity as a neighbor. What the Brahmas are experiencing here is extreme. It's an extreme case of flooding. It is in fact life-threatening, right? When you talk about a basement that can fill up to 9 feet of water, that is an extreme life-threatening situation. It is the result of very, very poorly managed construction and planning, but it is also the result of poor governance. Because at the time that this construction was built, a lot of neighbors complained that the construction should not be built here, and it was allowed to be built. I don't know that Martin's Additions at the time had it within its jurisdiction to make a decision to not allow the developer to build in this way. I don't know that that was within this jurisdiction, so I'm not critical of that. I'm critical more of generally that somebody should have enforced so that the Bronfmans weren't in this situation. And so what happens now as they are attempting to fix what really truly is and can be a life-threatening situation is that Martin's Addition has the ability to grant an exemption, a variance to the rule. variances are not, the reason for granting a variance, at least as I saw, Ron, maybe there's some secret part of the code. Ron often knows the secret parts of the code that I don't. So the part that I saw just describes it as section 6309 in special cases and for good cause shown. That's sort of the base level description for the variance that I was able to find. This seems like a good cause shown. This seems like a very good cause shown. If this isn't a good cause shown, I don't know what is a good cause shown. Given the failures here, the extreme nature of the event, and that you have the ability to grant this variance, I would be shocked if in the future a better opportunity presents itself for the village to grant the variance. I'll end with this, which is that I've seen some videos and footage of what happens in front of this house when it's flooding. And I saw a video of somebody in their car with their children as the water was streaming down, parked in front of this house, and the children screaming in the car as the water is headed towards his house, and the person trying to escape the vehicle that is flooding. And that's the situation that the Bronfman isn't dealing with. Matt and Leah, I feel deeply within you. It's clear within this meeting how deeply you feel, how much you deal with this every day. I very much hope the council grants you this, because if it's not this, I don't know why this process exists. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I see some neighbors' hands up. Peggy, do you want something to add?
Oh, hi, I'm Peggy McIntosh. My husband and I live at 3500 Taylor. We're neighbors. We've lived there since 1987, so we're going 36 years or so. And we're quite familiar with the water running down Taylor Street in heavy storms. So I think, you'll hear a lot of comments we've already heard, and I just wanted to voice as a neighbor our support for this variance, and hopefully that it will provide a solution for some neighbors who we think are wonderful additions to Martin's Additions. And that's really all I wanted to say. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Peggy. Ben, another neighbor.
Hi, yes, I'm Ben Dunford. I live in 3412 Taylor Street, 3411 Taylor Street, which is really close to 3412 Taylor Street. And I'm just joining to voice my support for this variance. I'll go a little bit further. Given the severity of the conditions, the variance is quite warranted and would be unconscionable if the village council decides not to approve it. I fully support it, and I hope you do the right thing. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Do we have anyone else with anything to add to this? I'm looking at the Zoom. Jessica, your turn.
Thank you. I want to echo Joel's comments. We both feel very strongly about this as expressed. And I want to say that I'm certainly not an engineer or anything by any stretch of the imagination, but I think that also we haven't thought about the long-term consequences that aren't maybe just immediate in terms of flooding. What about mold? What about other issues that could occur from water continuing to accumulate that may pose a health risk to the Bronfman family more broadly? So I think that this is not just something that could be potentially acute, but also something that could be insidious and occur over time that needs to be considered as well, that will put the Bronfman family at risk. So I implore the council to please make a variance for them and protect our village and protect its residents and our health.
Good, thank you, Jessica. Any other comment?
We also received in the record a letter in support from Robert and Alyssa Bean of 3415 Turner Lane.
Good. Okay, yeah, we've received several other letters in support. Good, thank you.
Yeah, another from Scott and Margaret McIntosh, which I didn't mention since Peggy's here tonight.
Right. I don't see any more. Oh, the script now calls for Matt or Leah to reply to anything they've heard, to rebut, to reply, to add to. Anything that you want to say now, Leah, Matt? You're muted. Leah, you're muted, still muted. Okay, you're on. Go ahead.
He's trying to mute.
Yeah, sorry, I'm used to using my my computer and I have a touch screen, but I couldn't figure out why Matt's laptop wasn't working.
Why his screen wouldn't respond to your finger, huh? Okay, you're on.
I just want to say we have tried every solution to fix this. As most of you know, we did not build this house. We bought this house and were sold a false bill of goods by the seller. I'll share a couple personal stories with you about this, and there's nothing that I want to rebut. I mean, this is this is for our safety and for our well-being, physical well-being, emotional well-being, psychological well-being, financial well-being. Before this happened, before the flooding, and it flooded for the first time since we owned the house, 3 weeks after we moved in, I had actually wanted to have a third child, but after the flooding, I thought that purchasing this house caused our family's financial ruin, and I decided not to go and have another child because of this. I also experienced significant emotional depression. Excuse me. It's the passion you saw in my husband earlier is because this has been an ongoing drama for us. The previous seller wouldn't, or the seller of this house wouldn't share any information about waterproofing that had been done or any actions that he had taken to remediate the water issues that we learned had occurred while he was building the house, and in fact forced anyone involved, from architects to engineers to lawyers to mitigators, to sign NDAs. So this has taken us a very, very long time to navigate. And it's true what Joel described. We have videos of me being inside trying to throw sandbags at our garage while water was coming down our driveway. And my husband is in the car with our children who are screaming and crying because they can't get out of the car and they're worried about me as water is flooding down our driveway. This has taken a significant toll on us. We've talked to Montgomery County. We've talked to the state of Maryland. You're running out of battery. I need your thingy. We've talked to WSSC, and everyone points fingers at everyone else. And because our life is at risk, and the life of our children, and Ben has been there, like after our house flooded, like kicking debris out of the way and helping us to like navigate our way after we have 16 feet of water in our driveway. Bernice, who lives beside us, has hugged me at my lowest.
Oh, geez, I guess her battery died.
Lee, I think your battery died, but we've heard your story. Thank you so much for that. I guess
Should we give them a minute to
if
power
let's
back
give,
up?
yeah, see what happens.
Can they log back in? Yeah.
Maybe before the record closes,
Yeah.
have any council members visited the site and wish to put any observations in the record or any information that's not already in the record?
I mean, I'd love to speak.
Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think everything's been stated that needs to be said here, but it's a total outrage what has happened here, a total outrage, and I've been in touch with them over the years, even suggesting that we need to find, and I reached out to friends and law firms. What was done to them was just not right, and it's a total outrage. And I'm sickened by it. I know we have a process here and we need to stick by a process, but I wish we could have just pulled the trigger on this much sooner so they could move on with their lives. So I've seen the video. I've seen what has transpired when you know, even before they moved in, I've seen, you know, men in like, you know, what are those suits called? Like
the hazmat suits.
yeah, like biohazard suits and things. So I mean, it's a total outrage. Oh, Leia's back. I'm happy for
Sorry
you.
about that.
Yeah, continue, Leia, please.
Oh,
Okay, Leah, finish up whatever you were.
I was just saying, I mean, Bernice has hugged me at my lowest point when I was in complete despair. This has been an ongoing drama for us. We didn't build this house, we bought it. Again, we were sold a false bill of goods, and all we want to do is move on with our lives. So I really hope that the council will act in the best interest of its residents.
Thank you. Okay, now it's up to the council members. Council, do you have any observations, questions, anything else you want to say?
If I can just finish real quickly now.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'll let Jeff speak, and I don't know to what extent, because you know, the ethics ruling, I don't know to what extent Katie can't participate in speaking about this. I'm assuming, and Ron, correct me if I'm wrong, whether or not she can speak. She can't vote if she recuses.
Oh, she can certainly speak.
She can speak. Fantastic. Okay, then I'll keep it even shorter, because I think we're all singing here from the same song sheet. Because, well, maybe not all. I hope this is unanimous, because it's time that we give this family the tools to fix and to move on and enjoy their lives as they see their beautiful children grow up. And I just think that it's high time that we move on here.
Okay, Jeff.
Thanks. I'll make this brief, and I think the loudest voices have come from the residents, so I don't really need to add much more to this, but I do want to share just on a personal note. Yes, I've been to the site, I've been to the house, I've been there, we've had coffee, our kids play together, share the same school. And I know that on occasion when we've had the heavy rains, our family has been as stressed and filled with anxiety, and in a heartfelt way, have felt sickened knowing that what they go through whenever there's even a drizzle, just the idea of what can happen. So I just want to share the appreciation, not only for their family, but for the residents coming out in full force to support them. And I'm looking forward to getting on to the vote. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Susan in New Haven, anything to add? You're mute. Susan, unmute. Susan, unmute.
Got it.
Good, okay.
I have
You're back.
visited the site, and I have nothing further to add until we get to the vote.
Okay,
But
thank you.
I certainly appreciate all of the input.
Thanks. Katie,
Oh, Arthur, so the code does provide that once recused, a council member does not participate in the debate or determinations.
oh, they can't speak up as a resident?
No.
Oh, okay. Good, then we will move, I think.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be necessary based on what I've heard so far.
Right, okay. I think all the council members have been heard, unless anybody wants to raise their hand to say something and anything else. I don't see anything. So if I'm not mistaken, I think it's ready to come to a vote. We now have a vote that we will call to approve or, oh, thank you for getting rid of the blueprint, to approve or deny this application. Let me start with, as I'm looking at my screen, I'm going left to right, top to bottom. Jeff, you happen to be up in the first vote position. How do you vote for this?
Absolutely approve with both hands and thumbs up.
Okay, that counts as one vote. I am next on my screen. I vote aye for this, approve this application. Going down, I see Susan.
Okay, so I'd like to explain why. I vote to approve because I believe, based on all the evidence, it meets all the conditions, not because I wasn't touched, which of course any human being would be, but because we are a legal body, and I believe that all the conditions were met that we need to be looking for to grant this petition for a variance. So that's a yes from me.
Thank you. Next down the list is Andrew, and I see your son was in the background. How does he vote? There he is. He votes yes.
They're telling me I really need to think through. I think really hard about how to vote on this.
Okay.
It's an easy one, both on the legal angle and the emotional. It's 180% yes, and I'm
Okay.
glad that this will move forward now.
Okay, so among the voting members, it's 4-0. This application succeeds. Thank you.
So I will
Thank
write
you.
up a decision and send that to you. Council members, Arthur will sign it. Once that's been signed, the permit can be issued, and we'll expedite this.
Good. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
That
you.
concludes
Hey,
the
Matthew.
proceedings for the
God
evening.
bless. Godspeed.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Good,
Thank you. Thank you so
Bye.
much.